Hello, everyone.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Worlds Collide. I'm Justin,
I'm Kenny.
and today we got Deathstroke.
Or Slade Wilson, as some people.
Exactly, the original Terminator.
Yes.
So, he didn't have that title for too long.
No.
Probably about 4 years. I believe he came out in 1980. Right, that was his first comic issue, and we saw him in Teen Titans #2.
Yes.
So that was our first, comic reveal of Deathstroke. Went by the Terminator. And then 1984 we had...
Yeah, Deathstroke the Terminator.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had 1984's Terminator release with Arnold. And since then, he was kind of the Terminator going forward. And they recycled and retired the Terminator title for Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Or Slade Wilson, as you said.
He has actually had a few different... So he's had Deathstroke the Terminator, which is what he originally started with. So after he got his own comic series, which ran for 65 comics, issues 1 through 4 were Deathstroke the Terminator. And then issue number 0, which is a special issue, and then 41 through 45, it was Deathstroke the Hunted. And then after 46 onward, it was just Deathstroke. And then he's continued just Deathstroke throughout the rest.
Now, did you know at one point he led a Teen Titans team, Teen Titans West, against the Teen Titans East to try and kill them? I found that was a pretty funny point of interest. Now, he's got a couple children. How many he's got in total? He's got Rose.
He's got
Jericho.
Rose, Jericho, and then...
Who's the first one that died? Oh, he didn't die, but he has throat slit.
Well, Jericho was the one that had his throat slit, and then he also has Grant.
Okay, Grant was the one I was missing.
Yeah, Grant was the one who was hired, who is part of the introduction of Slade to the team.
Perfect, okay. Now, his kids, some of them have fought against Teen Titans, some of them have been kind of covert, some have actually joined the Titans, so pretty diverse little group. He had a big hand in Nightwing's upcoming, if I'm not mistaken, too.
Yeah.
What's your favorite kind of memory of Slade?
Mine is the 2003 animated Teen Titans show.
Okay.
So, like, they have... So they're the one main storyline I remember the most. So there's like there's like their version of the Judas Contract, which check out our episode on Teen Titans.
Yep.
We'll probably touch on Judas Contract a little bit here, but we pretty went in depth there.
We went pretty in depth, yeah, considering most of that movie was considering.
Yeah. But so there's like their episode of the Judas Contract, but the one I remember the most is involves Raven and her dad, Trigon, basically trying to use her as a portal to come through, and Slade at the time was like resurrected, working with him.
With Trigon?
With Trigon.
Oh, God.
So...
I think I remember that one.
Obviously stuff goes bad, and then like goes off on his own to do stuff, but...
Slade has a history of that. Teams up as long as it suits him.
Yeah.
And the second they're of no longer value... cuts his losses and dips. Cuts them, maybe, and dips.
It's like Slade and the Teen Titans have... So they started off in, like, heavy animosity.
There you go.
And there is some times where they do actually wind up working together.
Okay.
If it's for something that benefits both of them, they'll put aside their differences and work together. Like, there is one storyline back in, like, the old continuity before the 52 universe.
Yep.
Where involving, like, Plague, and, Slade actually helps them track down, like, the origin of it and helps them cure it.
Really?
After Raven and I believe Jericho became both infected.
So
they put aside their differences and work together.
When his own self-interest is involved, he kind of, look the other way.
Mm-hmm.
He has kind of a gray moral code.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's a very hazy field where he wants to be a good guy sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's like, well, I can't take a loss.
It's like, so let's just do a quick rundown. So Slade initially doesn't have any powers.
Initially, no, he's just a soldier in the U.S. Army.
He's just a very good prodigy of a soldier.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And, like, he meets Adeline.
His wife, yeah.
His future wife.
Future wife.
Kane, who, takes him on, like, sees a lot of potential in him, trains him up, and then also helps do guerrilla warfare training with him.
Yeah.
So stuff that's, like, super brutal. And then he gets experimented on with the serum.
Well, at that point, he had been like top of the class.
Yeah, he was already like jumping leagues ahead of everyone.
Oh yeah, like a sharpshooter, like skilled in tactics and warfare. One of his things was he had the ability to notice that small detail that set out like an enemy's positioning, or where someone was, stuff like that. Like he was just skilled. And at that point, that's when he had you said, an experiment?
Yeah, they do like the experiment similar to like Captain America's serum type thing. They
super soldier shit.
Yeah, so they try and make like metahuman super soldiers for the army. Doesn't really work out, but it also works out.
I'm wondering if the Universal Soldier movies are based off Deathstroke. Could be.
So he does gain like increased strength and agility and stuff like that. Reflexes. Yeah. Your typical super soldier, Captain America. You get that reflex, you get that strength, you get that
Now the best one though was the healing factor.
Originally the healing factor actually came in later.
Oh, so he didn't even have that.
No.
In original canon comic, it was just the increased senses, reactions.
Yeah. The healing,
almost like a spider sense.
The healing factor was a later addition, which then caused a whole bunch of other stuff to happen.
Yeah.
But so initially he didn't have it.
Okay.
The healing factor was introduced through another experiment, and similar to Deadpool, as like.
Is this in the same canon storyline, or is this a different storyline? When the second experiment happens.
It's before New 52 universe.
We're probably in a different storyline.
Yeah.
Okay. So in original comic history, no healing factor. When he got his rewrite, it kicked in.
Yeah. So the healing factor was from a second experiment, which gave him the ability to heal any wound as long as his brain survived post him getting the healing factor.
Right.
So it's set after the events of Jericho's throat getting slashed.
And past him getting his eye shot at.
Yeah, which is around the same time as Jericho getting his throat slashed.
Pretty much immediately following.
Yeah.
Because, if I'm not mistaken, the reason his son got his throat slashed was because Slade Wilson's a mercenary. Got lots of enemies. Basically, it was some of his enemies that wanted information on a target of his, and he refused to give it up. And they had taken his son hostage, basically as bartering chip, and he says, well, no, I'm professional, I'm not giving you the info. Opens fire. Son gets his throat slit in the mayhem, and then Adeline walks in, being like, well, this is your fault, Slade, like, you and your Chinese prostitutes, and you and your war, and your mercenary, and this is your fault. And she shoots him in the back of the head, taking out his eye, and that's when the healing factor kicks in, right? Yeah.
So in the more recent universes, it's more like that. In the older one, it's it was the Jackal specifically that wanted information from Slade as to who hired him to kill him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So it was a hit on Jackal.
Yeah,
and
he wanted to know who the fuck was trying to kill me, and Slade was like, no, that's against my honor code.
I'm telling you.
And so at the rendezvous point for the kidnappers, where like he would like give the information over, he decided to instead kill everyone, but his son Jericho got his throat slit, making him mute, unfortunately, because it like killed his vocal cords.
Yeah.
And it was at the hospital that Adelaide
jeez,
tried shot him. But he was able to make it out and survive, but he lost the eye, and since that happened pre-healing, he was unable to regrow his eye because it wasn't part of his body when the healing factor kicked in.
Oh, I
and
see.
Unlike Deadpool's healing factor, which, or at least the way it's been portrayed in some media, where like any piece of splatter, with Blade and Deathstroke, his brain has to remain.
Yeah.
That's the one caveat for his healing factor, is his brain, and him getting the healing factor actually leads to the death of his wife and his re-estrangement from the Teen Titans.
Interesting.
Well, his ex-wife. So after he got the healing factor, his ex-wife needed a blood transfusion, and he was a match. So she got some of the healing factor, but it's a very messed up version of the healing factor. So instead of her being able to heal, it's the wound will still be there, but she won't die from it. So it would have to heal over like the natural healing process, but she doesn't die from it.
Weird.
So again,
she can take mortal wounds.
Yeah. So
and it's like, I'm dying, but I'm not.
It's like towards.
I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah, towards the end, like of her thing, she gets her throat slit, and like usually that's like a mortal wound, like having like your full throat slit. Now. But no, she's like, just kill me, and she like literally explains, and he is unable to do it, but Coriander. Starfire is like, she's like,
this is inhumane.
So she uses her powers to vaporize her, so there's nothing left. But that's what that's what Adeline wanted, but Slade didn't want her dead.
No.
So that
he couldn't let her go.
He couldn't let her go. So that's what caused them to again re-separate and go away, and Slade losing hope and actually working with the Titans.
Now, in the original comic, he got the experiment done because at one point, like, his body was failing him. And so he went under the procedure, and the procedure, instead of working the way it wanted, it gave him all these heightened abilities, right? But then they kind of came and went. They came and went, and when they went, he was like on death's door. But when they were there, he was like ready to rumble. And I think he had a sidekick of sorts. He had like a butler companion at one point. But in the army, he had like a best friend who just wasn't quite as good a soldier. But I think it was Bill.
Yeah, well, the one.
Because he got taken by the Viet Cong at one point and was trapped in like a camp, and that was when Slade Wilson was trying to get back into the military because they kind of Wintergreen, that was it, because they had side listed Slade being like, you're not fit for duty, and then even when he got the experiment done, he was like, well look, I'm back, I'm better than ever. But he was kind of going in and out of spurts, right? So even then they're like, no, we don't trust it, we think you're no good for duty. So it was when finally his buddy got captured, and he's like, well, I'm just going in. Decides to just disobey orders and go anyway, I believe.
He and that, like, him going after Wintergreen and saving him is what causes him to break away from the army and become a mercenary instead of being the super soldier they wanted. And him with Adeline and his family, he doesn't tell them that he's a mercenary for hire, which is what causes her to have such a strong reaction when Jericho gets hurt.
It all makes so much sense now. Because she's like, well, aren't you so good with the military? And he's like,
because she's a military strategist.
Right. And he's like, no, I've been working off the books. And she's like, well, what the fuck? You put our lives in danger? Our children?
So that's
Look what's happened.
That's why she's like, fuck you.
Yeah, literally just own husband. But at that point, she thinks he's cheating and screwing around, and he probably is at that point. Well, we know later. Yeah, we know him later. With the Judas contract, for example.
Yeah.
So do we want to touch on Tara?
Yeah.
All right.
So with Terra,
A protege / lover.
protege, manipulated lover.
In the comics, they were sleeping together.
Yeah.
Which is kind of messed up because I don't know how old of a man he is at that point, but he's an old man still.
It's also in the comics that she's canonly like under 18.
14.
Yeah, so it's just super creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Considering he's old enough to have.
He's like your grandpa
at that point. A white, he's probably like mid 40s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Late 30s, mid 40s.
So he's training Terra.
Yeah.
I can't remember her last name, but Terra's being trained
Terra.
as like it might just be Terra. She might not have an last name.
Yeah. So Terra has the ability to control Earth, which is the big thing, and she's very emotionally unstable and easily manipulated. And Slade. That's what I'm used to from the Teen Titans show.
Of course, because they had to get a more friendly name.
Yeah.
Deathstroke was too violent, too harsh for the kids show. So
but Slade is also.
Well, that only became his first name later.
Yeah.
So he was just Deathstroke, I believe.
He was Deathstroke until issue 0, which gave him the backstory.
Exactly.
Of Slade Wilson.
Exactly, because it was too rough. Deathstroke was too mean.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
But so Deathstroke manipulates Terra. She gets in the good books with the Teen Titans and joins them, while also feeding him information on how to take them down and like the weakest points. So then they move in to take the Titans down, and Terra cooperates, and then it's actually Slade's ex-wife and Jericho that inform Nightwing Robin that what was going on and that Terra was working with Slade. And then so Jericho teams up with him and they're able to take down Slade, but Terra
she dies in the rubble.
She brings the house down.
I believe, yeah, because they bring down the Titan Tower, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Titan and Beast Boy tries to save her because he has a thing for Terra, I believe. Mm-hmm. Cover all this in the Teen Titans episode, but
Changeling at the time.
Changeling.
Really?
Later monikered Beast Boy.
Yeah, and then Slade actually gets arrested. Like they do actually capture him, and they put him on trial, but Changeling manipulated it so that he'd be free. Because he wanted to go after him, but Revenge. They wind up actually chatting and actually realizing that they have a lot in common, and like they kind of part on good terms.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they like
kiss and make up.
Yeah, because Beast Boy, Changeling, thought it was all Slade's fault, but after they talked, they actually realized how unstable Terra was, and how much it wasn't like. Yes, it was partly Slade's fault.
Right.
But it wasn't either of them's fault for her, like, her betraying Deathstroke and her betraying the Titans. It was Terra and her messed up mind.
Well, at least they were able to hash it out.
Yeah. Until the next time they throw it down.
Yep.
Because let's be honest.
Now, so his daughter Rose, the Ravager.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't really touched base on her. So she's one of the ones who joins the Titans.
Yes.
Now, should we see her all through season 2 of Titans in the series? Have you been watching it at all?
I need to catch up, but I have watched some.
Yeah, I'm on maybe episode 8 or 9. I got more to watch, but
I like to wait till they're all.
Well, my streaming service the other day crapped out on me, and I couldn't watch the rest. So
yeah,
what I was watching was pretty good. They got a decent actor for Deathstroke in there. He plays a pretty pivotal role all through season 2. Mm-hmm. Him along with Dr. Light. Now, I didn't really research on Dr. Light. He was new to me. That was my first hearing or seeing of him in that series. So I haven't really done any more research on him. He's an interesting character that I want to learn more about though later. Mm-hmm. Deathstroke. I don't want to ruin anything, so Deathstroke kind of works with Dr. Light and then gets rid of him at one point.
Yeah, I mean, That sounds like him.
He does that with most of the people he teams up with, though. Right? Works with them for a little bit, and then he's usually the one who ends up killing them.
He's like, you've outlived your usefulness. You may go.
You may go now. Thank you.
Here's the sword to your back.
You got it. Now, we learned that Deadpool basically fit Marvel's image of Deathstroke.
Yeah.
He was created, majority believe, the spitting image of Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Minus the missing eye. They're both assassins. They both wear the suit.
They both have a healing factor.
Yep.
They're both Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson.
Yeah.
So,
How much more do you want?
Yeah. The suit designs are very similar, and Slade does usually commonly have, like, a lot of the time he's portrayed with, like, the knife or the double knife.
Yep.
Just like Deadpool usually has a double knife.
Yeah, double knives, double swords, whatever, right? Now, Deathstroke's father, Odysseus. Did you do much research on him? Did you find anything about him?
No.
So he's got a crazy father, Odysseus, and he's involved in a god killer storyline at one point. And basically, okay, so this is the new 52 storyline. So I don't know if you researched into that one at all yet. Basically, he's a mercenary for hire. Goes to some dude. It might be his father, I can't remember. But at one point, Odysseus' father's involved, and someone sends Deathstroke on a contract to kill a god. Says, here's a god killer sword, you take this, you go kill a god. Well, he takes the sword and he goes and kills the guy after, doing whatever his trial. Ends up making the kill. Sword does exactly what it was supposed to. But when he comes back to finish the contract, there's a blood offering that he had to give. And so the blood offering they're asking him to give up either Rose or Jericho, his children. In returns of you getting all this power and becoming the god killer and la 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 la. You want all this? Blood offering. He's like, no, I refuse. I refuse to give up one of my children. And what he doesn't say, he takes off his mask, because he still has two eyes at this point. He rips out his own eyeball and he says, here's my fucking blood offering. Are you happy? And they take it. And so that's the new 52 version of him losing his eye and killing a god.
I did see a little bit of that. I saw one comic where it's just him staring down his pants.
Yeah. yeah. There's some interesting. Now, to add to that, he's younger. So they do reset it, so he's a lot younger in this, maybe like mid-20s, early 30s. Yeah. He's not like the 50, 60-year-old Slade Wilson that we see in a lot of Arrow, for example. Now, Arrow actually is pretty young. I should say Titans Season 2.
Well, when he signed up initially for the army, he was actually only 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he faked his age when he enlisted.
Okay, and it's been maybe 40 years since then, so he's maybe like 55, 56.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, basically in the new 52, they got him being young again.
Okay.
Maybe mid-20s or something, but he's got kids. And when they showed the kids looked like teens. So I'm thinking he's maybe mid-30s, they maybe set him back 20 years.
Yeah. That's
probably what they did. Gave him an eye back, set him back 20 years, said, here, look, you got 2 kids, now here, kill something.
Mm-hmm.
He's been compared to Batman a lot, too. Especially in, like, the League of Shadows and one of the storylines. I believe it was one of the... which storyline was this? One of the cartoons? The animated series, maybe?
League of Assassins.
Yeah, so basically he was part of the League of Assassins, and so has 2 eyes at that point. This is just a bunch of different renditions of him losing his eye. So, he was part of the League of Assassins. He was destined to marry Talia al Ghul and take over as master of the League from Ra's.
Mm-hmm.
Until Ra's learned of Batman. And then decided Batman was better than Deathstroke. Sorry, he's next in line. He's better than you in every way. Only problem was, Batman didn't want it. Deathstroke did.
Yeah.
So he passed him over, drugged Batman. Batman ended up sleeping with Talia al Ghul and Damian Wayne. Ta-da! So during all this, Deathstroke just got kicked to the gutters.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pissed. As he should be. So after, Bruce says, no, I don't want it, and it's all passed down to Damian finally later, before that, I believe, Deathstroke rolls in and decides, you know what? Fuck you guys. And he decides to take back the League of Assassins. Kills Ra's al Ghul. Ends up fighting Damian Wayne. Damian's very talented at this point. He's maybe a mid-teen, like 13, 14, but skilled beyond belief. And during this fight, he ends up taking Deathstroke's eye with a sword. So that's one way that
and then
he uses
Deathstroke's just like,
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I gotta bail. You can have the league. But he killed Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Another thing about Deathstroke is he's very similar in combat tactics to Batman. They're pretty much on the same fighting level, power level, everything. The only thing is he has the healing factor over Batman, and he's probably a lot more skilled with most blades and guns.
Yeah. Well, Batman never uses a gun.
Right. Grappling hook? Exclusive.
So, and Deathstroke also probably has, like, the little boost from the serum as well. So, he has something, but usually they're pretty on par until one gets the upper hand. Just gets that one right shot.
Just that one counter jab or opening, hook or whatever. Like, whatever gives them that 1 second advantage. Right? Because they've come toe-to-toe a few times throughout the comics. Now, I know Deathstroke's played a big part in kind of mentoring Nightwing. When Dick Grayson, Robin, takes a step away from Batman and tries to find his own identity, he becomes Nightwing. And during this, you kind of see Slade, training him a little bit. Which is kind of the funny thing, because it's like, what if Batman hadn't been all good? What if Batman wasn't Batman? What if Robin had been trained and raised by Deathstroke? Then, at one point, we get the Red Hood. Now, I know Red Hood goes against Deathstroke. That was one of the comics I didn't get to research much more into, so that would be a cool one that maybe we'll touch base on when we do the Red Hood. Yeah. Because the Red Hood and Nightwing are two characters, well, one and the same, essentially, that will be talked about in later days to come. Trying to think of anything else that we have to cover on Deathstroke. Can you think of it? I know there's lots more that we haven't talked about.
Well, there's the stuff in the Arrowverse.
That's what I mean. We haven't even talked about Mirakuru version. So, he's actually probably my favorite Slade Wilson or Deathstroke. The actor that they got did a great job building his loyalty with Oliver, training Oliver all through season 1, being his friend, and then when he got injured in an explosion, I believe, they had to give him the Mirakuru serum. Mirakuru serum, it translates to miracle drug, and it heals you, but it brings on psychosis, essentially. You fucking go apeshit crazy. So basically, it healed him, all but his mind. And he then went from knowing Oliver as a friend and ally to his adversary. He's now his opponent, a challenger, someone to compete with.
So while it heals your mind, it heals your body, it degrades your mind.
Essentially.
So it's like one or the other.
One or the other, yeah, take it. Just die or, lose the mind and recover the body. And, Slade Wilson's a mercenary. He's a trained assassin, killer. Not a bad guy at this point, but he's becoming it. So in this version of the Arrowverse, Deathstroke, something ends up happening where he loses it to the point where he thinks Oliver's an enemy, and he kills his girlfriend, Shadow, I believe. After killing Shadow, he returns to the island. Well, okay, so wait. After killing Shadow, Oliver's stuck with the decision to either give him a cure to the Mirakuru, making him human again, or killing him. And he decides to kill him. He decides to stab him in the eye with an arrow and leave him for dead in a ship. It then explodes, and he thinks Slade's done. Slade's gone. He's dead. Well, later we find the Mirakuru healed him. Comes back to Star City, I believe, and tries to kill Oliver's sister, and does kill his mom. So that's the Deathstroke that we get in the Arrowverse.
Rule number 1 of miracle serum drugs that people take: if you're gonna kill them, and stab them with the anti-gin.
Yeah, make him no longer superhuman, and then kill him.
Yeah.
Don't, give him one superhero serum, Like the superhero serum is, it's gonna keep him alive if you try and kill him after.
Mm-hmm. Like, you need to neutralize that
Yeah,
stuff.
think this shit through a little bit better, Oliver.
I mean, they needed a plot device, so.
Yeah, they did need some plot device here. Trying to think.
There has actually, like, within the Arrowverse, there has actually been a few different people who take on the name Deathstroke.
Of course, because we do see Jericho at one point enter.
Yeah, like, so there's Grant Wilson in The Legends of Tomorrow, who actually takes on the name Deathstroke for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Then there's Slade Wilson, obviously played by Manu Bennett, who's
Yep.
like the main one, who's obviously Deathstroke, because Slade Wilson Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And then Billy Wintergreen takes the name Deathstroke for a little bit as well.
And Billy was his best friend in the army who he went into...
The Wintergreen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went in to save from the camp, so that's awesome.
So there's two people in the actual Arrow show and one person in the spin-off show that take the name Deathstroke. And Grant Wilson is Deathstroke.
Grant.
Grant.
Okay.
So that could eventually lead to them doing a Judas Contract.
Yeah. Well, there's a potential for a Nightwing movie or a TV series. I'm not sure, and they got. I'm not sure if this is for sure or not. It's just something I saw. It might be Joe Manganiello playing Deathstroke.
Yeah,
that'd
be interesting.
Yeah, I can kind of see him pulling it off. That'd be cool.
Like, there is a new CW animated show coming out, Deathstroke Knights and Dragons.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are the Knights and Dragons about? Is there like a trailer or anything?
It's been like released. Like, there's been like a press release. Like, it was recently announced this year.
Oh.
And it's Michael Chiklis playing Deathstroke. Yeah.
We'll see what that is. Like you said, it's what, a cartoon?
Yeah, a cartoon animated for CW, which is going to be very interesting.
Should be.
There's also the very different portrayal on Smallville.
Oh, geez, yeah, I forgot about that one.
Done by Michael Hogan.
Yeah, I forgot. I didn't even realize that was Deathstroke. Like, I remember the episode now because I remember him standing there with the metal eye patch and just kind of talking at his ass, blah, 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 the Reaper can't get me.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I didn't correlate that as Deathstroke.
It's one of, like, the more far-removed Deathstrokes.
Yeah.
Because, like, he doesn't really ever take the name Deathstroke.
Doesn't take on the name. We don't see the costume. We don't even see a sword or a gun. He's just a general bossing people around the whole time.
He's just like your average military personnel, but with a metal eye patch, and it's like.
Yeah, because at one point there's a base that blows up and he survives the explosion, and you see him in a later episode or at the end of that one, and he's sitting there being like, "Oh yeah, I lived," and he's got this big honker of an eye patch.
Mm-hmm. It's like in that explosion is what takes his eye out, but it's still. Like, one common thing with a lot of the, like, newer stuff where his regeneration factor happens before he loses his eye, it kind of makes it weird that he still loses his eye.
Well, it's anytime a limb's severed, something separated from the body, essentially. He can get shot and it'll heal. He can get cut and it'll heal. You can have, broken bones, limbs, whatever, they'll heal because nothing's really detached.
Yeah.
Everything's still intact. If he starts missing, if you cut a finger off, he'd probably lose it. I don't think it would. He doesn't have the ability to regrow body parts, and that's the problem. He lost the eye.
Yeah.
If the eye was damaged, it was cut. But, like, that thing got shot out.
It was still hanging by that thread.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, say he just got, acid. Say Daredevil happened to him. He might heal that.
Yeah.
Not losing the eye. I think that's a little too much.
Yeah.
He's not Deadpool.
Like, the original way where, like, the healing factor was mentioned, or anything previously done before the healing factor.
It wouldn't be fixed.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. It's like, this happened way before, right? Like, this is old wounds. They've healed. Like, well, there's nothing left to heal. It's just that's the end result, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything now that he's taking on, well, that's gonna heal back.
Yeah.
Now he's had some big targets. He's worked with quite a few interesting people. He's worked with Wonder Woman and Superman to kill the God Killer. Fought Superwoman for a little bit. Wonder Woman, sorry. Wonder Woman for a little bit, and, you know, she was blaming him because what happened was he got this God Killer sword and came to Themyscira, and they had some relic that was holding in some godly entity of, you know, destruction. And he got taunted into attacking this thing and releasing it.
Oh, God.
And so that was the god that he then had to track down and kill. Well, obviously when you release this frickin' thing, Wonder Woman's pissed. She's like, you just brought the destruction of my fucking island. Like, what the hell?
It's like, congrats, you fucked up.
Yeah, and right after he does it, he's kind of like, shit, I messed up. Because she's like, what do you think you're doing? He's like, I think I messed up. But, like, I'm not your enemy right now. Like, we both got to get him. And right then, she's pissed. She doesn't care. She's trying to kick his ass.
Mm-hmm.
She's picking up trees, ready to kill him. And he's like, listen, I don't want to fight you, but if make me fight you, like, it's trouble, you know? And so then the two of them kind of cool their shit. And that one wraps up, obviously, in him ripping his own eye out. The end of that story. So, he's gone against some pretty tough foes.
Like, he's gone against Green Arrow, obviously.
Yeah.
And he's gone against Batman as well sometimes.
Multiple times, yeah.
Like, there's one time where he laced the entire Batcave with dynamite in one of the movies. I forget specifically which one, but he laced the entire Batcave and basically wanted Batman, like, to control Batman. But Batman was like, "Yeah, fuck you," and just started pummeling him. Mm-hmm. And then he loses the eye in that.
Now, he being so close with Nightwing, he knows who Bruce Wayne is. He knows who Batman's true identity is. But he doesn't act on it. Which
is how he's able to sneak in and plant dynamite.
Sneak in and plant dynamite.
Because he knows exactly where the Batcave is.
Right. Now, that just shows Slade's kind of shady gray moral code. I know who you are, but I'm not going to get you there. Right? He's not blowing up the Wayne Manor. That'd be too easy. Mm-hmm. He's blowing up the Batcave. And that's what sets Deadpool apart from someone like Joker. Deathstroke apart from someone like Joker.
Yeah.
Or another villain, or someone else who would learn his identity that'd go for him. Well, that's too easy. He likes the challenge, and he sees Batman as a worthy adversary. Especially in the storyline where he got ruled over him to be the League of Shadows champion, right? Now, in that storyline, Deathstroke was an old, like, CIA guy or something with Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Butler. And they fought at one point, had a falling out, then he became Deathstroke. And then during this, Alfred obviously started training up Bruce. They saw him as his new protege, not him as if he had been replaced. So then he takes a contract to kill Bruce or Batman, and he's like, well, fuck yeah, I want to do that anyways. Mm-hmm. So it's like doing two birds with one stone.
It's like
two bats.
When he's going against Oliver, and like when he's mayor of the city,
yeah,
he's contracted to kill the mayor, but the contract people don't know that that's also Green Arrow. But Deathstroke does know that it's both Green Arrow and just Oliver, the mayor. So he has that knowledge too, but then obviously Green Arrow overcomes it because he uses the mayor resources and the Green Arrow resources.
Uses everything.
He's like, fuck this shit.
I know, right? I'm trying to think. Deathstroke's been in a lot of the video games, such as Injustice, probably Injustice 2. I think he is one of the big bosses in one of the recent Batman games. So he's had a lot of screen time. He's pretty sweet character.
Yeah, even though he started out, like most popular characters, as like an insert enemy for the Teen Titans.
Yep.
And then he became popular enough, he got his own series.
Yeah, no. Teen Titans, obviously.
That,
Him always doing battle with them.
That's his main antagonist.
Yeah. Well, that's what's introduced him to Wonder Woman and Green Lantern and, you know, Batman. He's fought all these big guys because the sidekicks are, you know, fighting him as well. It's only natural. I think that covers it probably for everything we got this week. Do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
You could, well, so some of the, like, we could talk about instances that we've seen him recently. So there was the 2003 Teen Titans show.
Yeah.
He also appears in the Titans Go TV show.
He is in that one for a little bit. He's trying on, right?
Yeah, he's the main antagonist in the Teen Titans Goes to the Movies. It's a weird movie, but it's a good movie.
You have to watch it still.
You have to watch it. He's obviously in the Arrowverse shows. He's in the Titans action.
You think we'll get to see him in the new crossover? I bet he makes an appearance.
In the
Arrowverse crossover that's about to come, yeah.
Yeah, the big one.
Infinite Crisis.
He does actually play a role in it in the comics. So.
Well, because he's officially, is he dead right now in the Arrow storyline, in the main storyline? Because we're about to get a bunch of different heroes from different universes coming through, right? Other Earths.
Yeah. So
we might see a different Slade Wilson appear.
I could see him making an appearance, especially since, like, he's supposed to be part of, like, Lex Luthor's team.
Yeah.
So, see, I feel like he's going to make an appearance, especially since he's played such a big role previously in the show.
That's what I'm thinking. I think this is a good time to make a comeback with him because we haven't seen him in, like, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And I do like that character a lot in the Arrowverse. Like, he's probably one of my favorite villains that he's faced the entire time. Because he's so on par with Oliver. And he has that, like, I was your best friend kind of thing going. So, like, he can get in Oliver's head.
Especially since he helped train Oliver.
That's what I mean. It's like, he's such a great adversary. I like that.
It's like, another interesting thing in regards to Deathstroke, Nightwing, and Rose?
Yeah.
His daughter is, so Deathstroke helped train Nightwing, and Nightwing was actually helping train Rose, and was instilling some of the superhero values in her, where Deathstroke was trying to do more like his mercenary values in her, and it came to a heated point where Deathstroke had given her a kryptonite eye because she went slightly insane and was like, I'll prove how loyal I am to you, and goes, rip. So, so he gave her a kryptonite eye, and then shit goes down, and Nightwing comes in and basically reveals to her, being like, yo, that shit's super poisonous to humans and super deadly to Superman. And Rosa, like, flips her shit. And then, and part of the reason why Deathstroke wasn't trying to kill Nightwing at the time was because if she caught him doing that, it would eliminate anything that he's tried to do.
Right, any positive influence he's tried to instill or, like,
any
control he's tried to put. Because they're both her teacher right now. It's like, well, you're trying to kill my other teacher. Obviously, so, I side with him now.
But then after the reveal of the kryptonite eye, Deathstroke goes after Nightwing. And then Rosa actually saves him. And they leave together and leave Deathstroke.
So that's her kind of flip-flop. Rose's flip-flop back and forth between the side of evil and good with the two influencers on her shoulder. That makes a lot of sense. So maybe that's why in the beginning of Titan Season 2, we see Rose with the missing eye.
Yeah.
It's probably recently after her trying to prove her loyalty, which makes me I think I know how season 2 ends.
Spoiler?
I won't reveal it now. Those will be my own guesses.
Yeah. Is there anything?
I think that's it for this week. So we're just gonna run a short ad here, guys, and we'll be back in a few minutes. 30 seconds. I'm going on.
Yeah.
All right. So who are we doing next week?
Next week was. These two.
Killer Frost? No, that's all December.
No, Killer Frost was December. We had. Yes, Bowser, and yes, Kirby, Mr. Barky Boys.
All right, and we're back.
Yeah.
So the next few weeks to come, we got a couple different characters coming up for you guys. We want to hear from you though. We want to know who you want to see in the next months to come, starting for January. If you guys have any votes that you want us to do, we already have Barry Allen, the Flash. We'll have to do a couple different Flashes because there's been a few.
Is it? I thought it's Barry Allen next week.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's who we're doing next week, as it's been requested. But starting January, we'll be taking more requests as our December lineup is filled. And we want to hear who you guys want to know about. Who have you read in comics? Who have you seen on the big screen? Who have you heard in passing? Tell us. We'll do some research, if we don't already know.
Yeah. And we are willing to expand outside just like DC Marvel. We'll also do like Dark Horse. We've also done like Archie Comics, Sabrina.
Got it. Anything?
Which is technically Archie.
We got some interested people in manga and some of the anime.
Yeah.
So we're open to differences. We're open to some different suggestions. So you guys just let us know. And the weeks to come. Next week we got Barry Allen, Flash.
Yeah. And then after that we have Joker. And then we have Killer Frost, which gets into our icy December.
Yeah, we already got snow on the ground here for those of you in London, Ontario, Canada, etc. I was speaking to a friend of mine overseas, and she's telling me her winter just ended, and I'm like, what the hell? So,
yeah. And then after Killer Frost, we have Iceman. So, starting that Christmas, ice theme off strong.
Yep, we got the DC, we got the Marvel, both our ice casters coming in heavy, bringing the cold, and we will see you guys next week with Flash. So send in those requests. We want to know who you guys want to hear about, as we want to see what our audience likes.
Yeah.
So take care, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.